What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode here on Full of Fishing. And I know it's been a little while here. Things have been kind of crazy. So if you're new to the channel here, it won't be a while, but those who have been subscribed and follow along with every video will notice that there's been about a 2-week gap since my last video. So give you a little background of what's going on. We've had some housework done, been out guiding, weather cancellations, doing my other job that I do temporarily when I have weather cancellations for guide trips. But we are back with some more tackle tips and reviews and etc. And today we are talking drop shot weights, specifically Queen Tackle drop shot weights, because that is a partner of the podcast, The Serious Angler, over on the Serious Angler Network. But what we're going to chat about today is where to use a teardrop tungsten drop shot weight and when to use a cylinder. So let's start with the teardrop weight, correct? So a teardrop weight is really good when you're making short pitches, fishing straight up and down vertically, or casting out, like we'll call it 70 to 100 feet, and sitting there and shaking your drop shot and not moving it a ton on slack line. The reason why you want a teardrop weight in that situation is just plainly the way it sits on the bottom. So when it sits on the bottom, it's going to, with your line coming back to your rod, it's going to stand straight up like this, right? As to where a cylinder weight, we'll talk about in a minute, will fall down and lay on its side. So that's one of the first reasons why I love a teardrop drop shot weight. There are 3 different sizes that I use regularly. That is quarter, 3/8, and half. So with that being said, the reason why I like those weights is rate of fall, depending on what bait you are using and how deep of water you are fishing in. So general rule of thumb on a teardrop weight, if you're fishing less than 2 foot to like 12, I will use a quarter. From 10 to 30, I will use 3/8. 30 to 60, I will then go to a half or even maybe a 3/4. Now there is a huge piece to the teardrop and cylinder tungsten weight that I'm going to touch on now before I move into the cylinder weight, and that is the line tie. That is the most important part of drop shot fishing with the drop shot weight. You don't want a line tie that has a clip on it and a point. What happens when you use super light line in that clip, when you're casting or you're fighting a smallmouth, your weight is going to fly off. You're going to go through hundreds of dollars in weights in a year if you're on the water daily. So that is why I love the line tie, because you can tie on there just like your standard fisherman's knot with 6, 8, 4, 10, up to 20-pound tests, depending on the way you're fishing. And you're going to go through probably an 1/8 of the amount of weights that you would go through normally with that clip. All right, let's move into the cylinder weight. When would we use a cylinder drop shot weight with a line tie? So with the cylinder weight, there's 2 big things that you're going to do with it. 1, you're going to drag, or 2, you're going to utilize the drop swim technique with it, which is with like a swim bait. Maybe not a 4.1 unless you're fishing in waters with really big bait fish, but like a mega bass spark shad, the 3-inch prodigy, maybe an apex with a 2-aught straight shank hook, has dong shad, 2.8 Kitech, 3.3 Kitech, anything that's a smaller minnow type bait. You cast it out there with that cylinder weight, and as you're pulling it back on slack line ever so slightly, the cylinder weight is going to tick through the water as you're reeling it in almost at a 45-degree angle, and it's just going to tick along as you're slowly dragging it, then drop, then back up, drag, 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 drop. And that's going to create a little bit of commotion on the bottom because tungsten is louder, but also it's going to come through the rocks a lot better than a teardrop weight is going to come through the rocks when you're dragging or when you're using the drop swim technique on a drop shot. So for those of you who are tuning into this video here, if you do not use tungsten weights, you are severely missing out on a lot of sensitivity, direct contact with your rod, and you could be missing bites. That is one of the biggest reasons why you always want to use tungsten weights. But that being said, the line tie is huge. Queen tackle, you can buy it online at queentackle.com or over at Omnia Fishing. Down in the description, there are going to be a couple codes for you to save some money on these Queen Tackle drop shot weights. And I hope this helps you catch more fish. And if you do enjoy the videos that we put out here on Full of Fishing, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a comment and a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you over on the Serious Angler Network.